the days been like for you? When did you first hear that you might be taking charge, and have you any idea how long that may be for?
Probably the early part of the previous week, so the Monday, Tuesday. I was actually taking the number 19 session. I come off the pitch and I had a few messages to let me know that there was a potential it was going to happen. So, but in terms of since then, I've just tried to keep everything as normal as possible. I've got processes that I like to work with in terms of how I work with under 19 squad, and it's probably a way of working that I trust. So I've tried to not do anything different from what I've done previous and what I've learned.
Is there a chance you could still be in charge for the European game next Thursday?
Listen, I'm taking it day by day. It's as you can imagine, it's probably been a bit of a whirlwind, but I'm trying to keep things as normal as possible, and that normality is that we'll get a game on Saturday that we need to go and win.
How have you found it so far? What have the players been like? Because I can imagine it's quite a difficult period for them as well.
It is. I think it's understandable. The mood was probably low in the first day. Loads of boys away at international duty, but I'd like to think that the sessions that we've put on have lifted the mood. And that's not to say we've just been doing sessions that the players enjoy. There's been a bit of work put into them because it's been a different group, different schedules. So, but the mood's lifted, and I think you could sense yesterday and today that there's now the reality of a game, which is good.
Just finally from me, you know that the club are entering the final stages of negotiations with Kevin Muscat. There's a chance that if Muscat's the one to be appointed, he may not be able to come until a later date because of the title race in China. If the club go down the route of, you know, a more medium-term interim manager, would you be interested in that position or assisting in the kind of transition in any way?
Listen, I work here, so I'm available to do whatever the club asks me to do. I think the club and everybody here is well aware that I'm quite ambitious as well, so I've got my personal ambition that I would be lying if I said I didn't want to be involved in the first team at any moment. So, but I also am in no rush, so I love my job that I do, but the club are aware that I've also got ambition, which I think you have to work here.
What do the players need at the moment? As you mentioned, it was obviously low, Russell leaving and whatnot. When they came back, their sort of demeanour, what needs to be picked? Do they need picked up? What needs to go right with the players at the moment?
I think there's a few things. Probably clarity is the most important thing in terms of the tactical side of the game. I think we're trying to put a bit of work into them yesterday, and we'll do more of that today. But probably just to strip it back and simplify it and remind them that they are a good group. They're a good group of players for what I've seen. But let's say words are cheap, and I think there's a lot of people sat here and promise certain things, but it's up to them now to go and put that into practice tomorrow.
Just in terms of the fans as well, Stevie, obviously it's been a tough time for them. For you, how much do you need them on side? They're obviously wanting a permanent manager in now, you can understand that. But what's your message to them? Because it's been a tough couple of months for them, hasn't it?
I would probably say longer than a couple of months. I think there's been a period of pain and they've had to suffer a lot. So if there's ever a fan base that's probably earned the right to vent their frustrations, it's this one. And I understand it. It works both ways. I think there comes a point where I think they know when you need them, but it comes a point where the group of players and staff need to take that on board and they need to give them something back. So we'll be looking to give them a performance tomorrow that makes them happy.
You mentioned your personal ambitions there. How much are you viewing Dundee United as a chance for you to show the owners and those in charge that you have what it takes to be a part of this long term?
It's not about that for me. I can have my personal ambitions, but that's not what the game's about tomorrow. We know it's going to be a tough game. Dundee United are well organised, got good structure, recruited very well, so we know it's going to be tough. So the game's never ever going to be about me, the game's about the players, giving them the information they need that gives us the best possible chance to get a result.
Stephen, you've spoken about the training sessions that you've put on. Did you have a kind of chat with the players to talk about, you know, how they would like to see these training sessions going forward, whether they would maybe want to go through some change in the training sessions from the previous manager?
No. As I said, I trust the work that I do, I trust the sessions that I've put on in the academy. I've been doing this for a long time, which I've been coaching since I was 30, since basically I stopped playing, so I've had 10, 12 years of coaching. I obviously played the game for a long period, so I would like to think I've got that knowledge of what players like, but also the fact that you don't just give them what they want, they have to work as well. So there's a lot of thought goes into it. So it's something that I probably wouldn't be comfortable asking the players what they want, because I think if you get down that road, then it can be a wee bit shaky.
Can I ask you, were you here when Kevin Muscat was here? Were you a very young player?
I was a young player,
yeah.
So I only came across him a few times. When I was a young player, my job used to be to clean I looked at his boots and the coaching staff, so I used to pass him in the corridor. And again, as a person, it was really pleasant. I know there's a reputation there as a player, but the communication I had with him was always very pleasant to the younger players.
Steve, do you sense a real determination from the players that they want to go out on Saturday and show what they maybe haven't done in the early stages of this season?
I think they have to have that. I can also sense a wee bit of frustration because when you're under the spotlight and under the scrutiny like they have been, it's tough, but there's got to come a point where that determination's there to go and put things right, and hopefully the start of that's tomorrow.
When you first got those messages last Monday, Tuesday, that it might be a case that you were taking training, did you think it was ever a possibility that you would then be in the dugout almost 2 weeks later? Did you think it might have sort of been wrapped up? I mean, it looked as if it maybe was at one point over the weekend, and since then, did you think that you ever would end up being in the dugout?
Probably not, that's my honest answer. I thought I'd probably take training for the first 2 days and then the players had a few days off, and I thought that would probably be my job done. But the closer you get to the next week beginning, and then you know you've got international players returning, and there's different aspects to it, you start to get that feel that there's a potential that it could happen. But in my head I was always prepared, and as I say, the work I've done previously has helped me in this moment.
Stephen, there's also a lot of reports that the club are close to appointing a manager now. Have you noticed a change in the mood in the building as it's getting to near that time?
Honestly, no. I can't have any complaints about how the players have applied themselves, how they've trained. Obviously at the start of the week it was a smaller group. Now that international players are back, I sensed yesterday that the reality was setting in, that they've now got a game. And for them that might mean that individually they've got a chance to go and impress a potential new manager. But my full focus is just being on preparing the players the best I can for the game.
You spoke a little bit about coming across Kevin Muscat. He's a pleasant guy. Do you sense that he's the type of character that this club needs right now to take them forward?
Probably. It's an interesting question. There's obviously, in the past 4 or 5 years, we've had different types of managers. There is no guarantee of success anywhere, and it's really difficult to guarantee success when you're at a club that the expectation is to win all the time. That's never going to happen. But we've experienced different managers, whether it be managers that have played here, managers that have been deemed head coach types that are more tactical. So we've had every type of manager, but the priority is always to win.
Stephen, you've obviously been through similar experiences yourself as a player in terms of new managers coming in and managers going out, but just how important is it from a player's point of view that there's a period of stability now?
I think that's been the case for a number of years. I can speak from my recent time here. In the academy we've been probably crying out for a wee bit of stability as well, which isn't always easy, and it probably starts with the constant turnover and constant change of managers, which is quite difficult. But as players, the focus should always just go back to what you can control, and you can control what happens in the pitch, you can control your individual performance, and that's the most important thing. And as a collective, if they focus on that, I'm pretty positive the results will come quickly.
Stevie, you talked about the fans having to suffer pain for a number of years now. As a guy who came through the ranks here and had a successful periods, how much has that hurt you just to watch what's happened here in the last few years?
It does hurt. There's no getting away from that. There's no hiding place. I've been here for probably 20 plus years in terms of playing and coaching now, so when you've been involved for that long, it's just natural that all your mates, all your family, they all support the football club, so everybody hurts, and it's not easy. But I can always remember, or what I remind people of, is that when it turns quickly. But in terms of this group now, that quickly has to start on Saturday, because as everybody knows, the results to this point have not been great, so it has to start changing now.
What will it mean to you, even on an interim basis, to walk out there tomorrow as Rangers manager?
Listen, I'll be proud. That's the first word I would probably use. But again, it's never ever about me. Probably in a week's time or 2 weeks' time, or maybe 2 years' time, I'll look back on it. But I really want to enjoy it, because I think there was times as a player when you just go day to day and you don't actually sit back and enjoy the moment that you're in. And I'll enjoy it a lot more if we win, but that enjoyment will probably come in the days and weeks after.
And a lot of people on the outside have maybe almost written this season off already because of the turmoil. What makes you think it's salvageable this season?
Because I've seen it happen before, and as I mentioned, it can turn quickly. It doesn't take much. It might take one result, one good performance, might even take one bad performance, but you nick a win in the last minute. So there's all sorts of things that can change it quickly. might be that a new manager comes in and it changes in that front. So I've seen it turn quickly, but there's many things that can make that happen.
Is that something you've been trying to drill in at the players this week, Stevie? Presumably confidence levels were pretty low when you first took over.
Probably not so much that. That chat will probably come today. A lot of the focus has been on the tactical stuff as of yesterday and today, because that's the first 2 days we've had the group together. But even the tactical stuff, I don't want to overload them with information. I'm going to simplify it and keep it as simple as I can. And then talking about the momentum and the change and results and all that stuff, that will come today and tomorrow.
I mean, as you rightly say, you're an established coach now in your own right, but have you reached out to anybody in the last week? As the game gets closer, have you not had time?
Honestly, no, because I'm really comfortable in how I work. I've had the experience, I've made loads of mistakes, and I've been in a fortunate position where you can make them in the academy where they don't get noticed as much. I've had loads of help, but I'm really comfortable being in this position. I'm really comfortable taking training sessions. I'm really comfortable whether it's in here going through the tactical stuff. So it's nothing that's new to me. Probably the spotlight and attention for you guys is obviously much greater. My phone's busier, but it is what it is. I'm really comfortable. Last one.
Obviously you've been under pressure at time, but you've got your own philosophy and that you've been developing over the years. In terms of the team selection and the tactics, there's obviously a lot of what Russell did was came in for criticism. Under that pressure at time, can people expect real changes on Saturday, or are you really having to work with what's gone before?
I would like to think there'll be a change. As I said, I'm not going to go, because one thing you don't want to do in this position is overload them with information and then it becomes really confusing. It's probably stripping it back a little bit, going back to basics slightly, but there will be information there that's new, and I would like to think after the last couple of days that we've had in the session today, it will be quite clear what we're trying to do tomorrow.
Thanks everyone.
Good luck. Thank you. Squad news, just team news, is there anyone in out?
The long-term ones are still the same, so Rabi, Kieran and Dujon will also still miss out, but I think the three of them are getting closer, and Dio is the only one from Falkirk that is going to miss the game.
Thank you.